So Jira has been around since 2003. Oddly enough, the same year that that RightStar has been around since. Um, but since the beginning, helping software teams manage their processes. But Atlassian noticed through years of use of the tool that there came to be several unique use cases for it. So back in the fall of 2015, Atlassian rebranded Jira into three purpose-built applications. So Jira Software is still the solution that helps software teams manage their work. Jira Service Desk was added to help service desk teams and help desk teams manage their processes. And Jira Core was introduced to help business teams with project and process and task management. And it's Jira Core that we're here to discuss today. So, have your business teams been having trouble tracking their work? Have you overheard things like, what's the status? I can't get a status update, or something like, this project is delayed again and I can't keep track of everything. Many of the teams out there may be struggling with their various processes, and of course, we want to help them. So I'd like to help show you how to let Jira help them. Jira Core, as I mentioned, was built for HR and legal and finance and marketing teams because they can all benefit from Jira in the same ways that those software teams and service desk teams are benefiting. Jira Core extends that workflow functionality that we've come to know from Jira Software and Jira Service Desk and the configuration of Jira to business teams so that they can track work and manage projects and stay on top of everything. By now, we have industry-wide about 40 years experience in project management of doing software project management, software development project management. And what we found is that has really differed from other traditional kind of project approaches because it's kind of an intellectual endeavor. It involves a creative process that's kind of unlike traditional projects. And so in projects like these, where your users are creating material and content as they go, and Jira is perfect for that kind of repeatable process, which can handle the flow of information in creative situations like this. Jira will allow you to stay on top of everything and know where your blockers are in that process so that you can manage projects and processes in a flexible and even sort of agile way. Even business processes that don't have anything to do with software development. The theory of constraints is a methodology I wanted to mention here. It's really a methodology for identifying the most important limiting factor or constraint that stands in the way of you achieving some goal, and then systematically improving that constraint until it's no longer the thing that's the limiting factor. So this came up to the manufacturing sort of industry, and in manufacturing and other industries as well, that constraint's often referred to as a bottleneck. And so even with a simple Jira workflow, you can find and address those bottlenecks, such as bottlenecks with approvals or your move to production or getting started or getting things signed off on. It ends up making whatever the process is more efficient and productive and allows you to experience an agile kind of change. Bottom line, really, there's opportunities everywhere in every team to improve their productivity and efficiency. And so enters Jira. Now, I keep referring to this word workflow. At the heart of Jira is a workflow. Everything moves through a workflow, as you can see as on this little example on my screen right now. Everything we're going to look at today is about workflows to support your particular processes for your various business units. There's a few starter workflows that come out of box, and you can customize those or configure new ones which model your exact process. So the process in the tool can be exactly modeled after yours. So this on the screen here is just an example of a simple process, and but they are again fully configurable, so they can be as simple or complex as you need them to be. So what does Jira allow you to do? What does it do for you? Well, it lets you see all of your project information at a glance. It lets you manage processes and keep your team organized while you're doing that. Around managing processes and tasks, all that starts in Jira with a workflow. Workflows define the process and enables your team to track tasks through them. You can measure performance. So, how many tasks are still in progress, and which team member has too much on their plate? Those kinds of questions can be asked and answered. Using Jira, you can follow the status of your team's projects in many ways, with a quick overview, with a customized dashboard, with a predefined report, maybe even add a calendar view, and you're all set to go. Task management's easier with statuses and comments and attachments all right in one place, so that everybody who needs to know a project's details can see them at a glance without having to email or set up a meeting or make a phone call. And of course, with notifications, you'll also the system can get your attention when your attention's needed. So what kinds of processes could we maybe do this with? What kinds of groups? Well, what about marketing teams or HR teams or your finance teams or legal teams or operations teams or really any business team? Let's talk about some of the specific features that Jira Core would offer you to help you manage processes in those kinds of teams. So first, we have business templates. You can use the out-of-box business templates that come with the tool to easily define and track your projects and processes, or you can, like we mentioned, define your own and create your own custom processes with configurable business templates to match how your particular teams work. You can capture task details. You can set due dates and assign responsibilities, add attachments. You can keep all those details together in one place. You can keep everything maybe from an HR perspective, from candidates and new employees, such as resume and start dates, and gather information on legal filings and important deadlines related to maybe marketing. Ultimately, you can put whatever your team needs to be successful in one place for them to be able to access and keep on the same page together. And notifications. You can ping your team members with @mentions to get their attention. Maybe to get the attention of a colleague or a manager to let them know that feedback's required, for example, or get the attention of the right team member to make sure that they know that a decision needs to be made. And of course, reporting. You can use reports and dashboards for a quick view of your calendar, of your team's progress, or whatever's in your queue. Maybe it would help you make more informed decisions and understand what is and what isn't working by using those reports and dashboards. So it's really easy to see what's been done, what is being done, and what still needs doing. And what about at a higher level? With Portfolio for Jira, you can get visibility across all of your teams and projects. So how do you coordinate when you have large projects? Maybe that like acquiring a new company or something where multiple organizations in your company are involved, such as legal and ops and marketing and so on and so forth. Portfolio for Jira can sit on top of Jira Core and give you that sort of initiative level view and help show you how projects roll up into those high-level initiatives. You can plan visual roadmaps by creating a real-time agile portfolio plan for all of your projects so that roadmap and the visibility to it you have across all of your teams. You can forecast release dates so that you can optimize your team's schedule in real time. And while the work's in progress, you can see how accurate your original estimates were compared to your current ones so that you know how your team's performing. You can manage your team's velocity and team member availability so you can account for any resource variability in your plan. You can select and save and compare multiple what-if scenarios with different scope and different team combinations, and then pick the one that best fits your teams and choose that as your portfolio plan. You can set business goals and track progress against those to make sure that you're executing against your strategy and keep everyone aligned across the same priorities. And of course, again, reporting. You can report on scope and capacity and releases and schedules and sprints and themes and even a new dependencies report to help you see where your projects are dependent on each other. And a graphical overview of the plan sliced and diced exactly how you might want it so that everybody stays on that same page. Well, what about integrating with other things? Well, Jira integrates with virtually anything that you might have in-house today or that you might bring in-house in the future. The Atlassian Marketplace is the ecosystem that Atlassian has provided for vendors to offer off-the-shelf integrations with things like Salesforce or Microsoft Office or Exchange or the Google App Suite. And maybe for anything that doesn't already have an app available in the marketplace, there's a full REST API available to integrate with any solution. So how could marketing teams maybe use this? Well, marketing teams center around documents and content, right? Creating documents and marketing assets and other content usually involves multiple people and inevitably leads to complex steps and processes and can be real confusion. But no matter what the process, the marketing team can track all those steps and see who's working on what from to do to done right in Jira Core. You can manage marketing processes by tracking all the tasks that are associated, because that's often hard to track all related tasks with a project like that. Jira lets you visualize your marketing tasks and then follow them along the path from to do to done. And so this way, the journey to finish up blogs and assets and review cycles and you name it, it's just faster. And you can see who's doing what and when. You can get status updates on every task at a glance. And plus, you'll in every comment, whether that's advice or opinion or feedback, it's all documented right there for anybody with access to the system to see. So you never have to worry about who to CC again or going to find that email that somebody sent you buried somewhere deep in your inbox. So it lets you measure performance around your marketing team, for example. With projects, tasks, and details all in the same place, you can use dashboards and reports to see how your team did, so that you have a better understanding on, and when you go to launch your next campaign, to be sure that you can do that on time. So does your marketing team have good visibility into their projects? Is everyone who needs to be involved? How do you know if you were successful? Well, what about human resources? Issues, Jira issues, can be used to represent employees for an onboarding, for example. Maybe an employee issue goes through a workflow that contains all the different steps a person might need to be onboarded, like issuing a laptop and setting up email and getting them trained on the product or your policies, those kinds of things. Jira is able to give HR teams exactly what they need to create an effective onboarding process to manage and maximize the success of all their new employees and contractors, I suppose, too. Jira would allow HR teams to be able to visualize their candidate pipeline, to be able to see all updates at a glance and respond to comments and quickly adjust to changing schedules. They can make sure that their team has the latest, greatest, very latest information and do away with all those surprises. So have you caught yourself saying, when did he talk to that person? Or did that happen already? So with each step along the way recorded, including candidate details and documents and feedback all in one place, it's going to be easier for you to make informed decisions. So any HR team member can take a look, including the boss. And that lets you help measure the performance of your HR team members with all of those steps documented and everything in one place. You can find and report on any information you need, like your hiring velocity or your onboarding process or your termination process. So do you have a good HR process for new hires and interviews today? Does it take too long to set up new employees? Do you forget things when you're offboarding employees? Do you have visibility into all this, or are you counting on somebody else and hoping they'll manage it? How about finance teams? Finance teams have to close the books every month, month after month after month, and the steps of that process have to be followed to the letter. So tracking this process in Jira provides accountability for each of the team members' tasks and their accuracy to make sure that all those steps are followed. Just think how helpful it might be if you could visualize all your finance projects and tasks in one place that way. You'd be able to keep watch over required steps and actually see progress happen along the way. So you can close the books at the end of the month knowing that everything has been done, that all of your tasks are properly completed and documented. It's important to be aware, of course, that each team member's part in any process, so from SOX compliance to posting to the general ledger to maybe procurement. So with all those explanations and documentations and details all in one place, everyone knows what decisions were made and how they were made and who made them, which helps you, again, measure the performance of your finance teams. Maybe help find information that you need to check or double check to be sure that the progress of a financial filing or a purchase approval or anything really, and check on the status of that. And of course, with an audit trail, you'll be sure that you can be sure that the reviewer of the documents isn't also the preparer, which is a key thing often in those kinds of situations. So where's your bottleneck today in closing out your quarter, closing out your year? How do you manage to get through audits? How do you know everything's been done with those? And how about legal teams? Legal teams can use Jira too. Maybe issues in Jira could be legal documents. So those legal teams can keep track of contract and document review cycles to ensure that the right subject matter experts weigh in at exactly the right time and that all the right proper approvals are in place. Do you need an expert maybe to review a contract? Or do you need to maybe see who's completed the task and read the feedback? You can do that all in one place. The document review cycle really couldn't be much easier than managing it in Jira. You can keep track of stakeholder feedback and important dates and legal explanations, basically the who, the what, the when of all the legal documents and issues. And of course, with user permissions in place, only the people that need to be in the know will know, because folks who don't have access to data they don't need to see won't see it. And of course, again, you can measure your performance here with your legal team in Jira, being able to see the status of each of the contracts or issues and see what's open, what's pending, what the reasons were behind the outcomes. Jira not only provides that sort of overview of your team's workload, but it also gives you a record-keeping tool along the way so that you have a full audit trail. So can product managers see where they are in their processes today in your organization? Does your legal team have a commentable audit trail today? Maybe Jira is the way to go. And maybe finally, how about operations teams? So people that deal with infrastructure maintenance. Those teams need to be able to track when hardware or software needs to be updated. In this case, a piece of hardware might be an issue, which contains critical information like the last time it was checked, or when it needs to be updated, or when its contract is up, or what its purchase date was. This helps keep the systems operational and mitigate any risk and avoid any potential downtime, so you never miss another step. You can track the progress of your operations projects by watching tasks, both large and small, move ahead through the process from to-do to done. You can see the details and the status of each task in one place, along with every team member's feedback about these operational processes, so everyone is literally on the same page. That's something that's often missing from these kind of teams. And of course, help you measure the performance here as well. With all of your projects at your fingertips, you'll be able to find exactly what you need and report on it with ease. So does everybody in your operations team know exactly what's on the to-do list? Does everybody know exactly who's assigned what? So what's our takeaway today? Well, ultimately, the possibilities are really endless. I guess the bottom line is if there's a process out there, it can be tracked in Jira. And when I say any process, I mean just about any process. I'm not kidding. Well, a few users have even implemented Jira to track their beer collection. So really, whatever it is you need to track, you can be able to do that in Jira. So our question for you is, what's your team going to track with Jira Core? And now I guess it's time for your questions for us. So, Dick, have there been any questions that have come in through the?
Well, yeah, there was one question, and I have some questions for you as well. And again,
Okay,
now
great.
would be a good question time to ask a question. And there's a Q&A box, and there's even a chat one. So I have both of them open if you all want to submit. But the first thing I wanted to say, and it goes to a little bit about what I was saying earlier. And the reason that I like this so much is that what you described in a lot of these different case studies were really case management. You went through HR, you went through legal, you went through finance, operations, just a number of them. And, you can get specific case management software to try to do some of this, but usually that's just impossibly general, and you end up really having to put a lot of effort into something. For example, there may be some sort of an out-of-the-box HR case management system that you can buy, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But the nice thing about this software is it's sort of designed for people to make it to fit your exact requirements. So in other words, you would sit down, you take a look at what it is that you would want to do in an agile process. You might go through and you might end up with a workflow that meets your exact needs. And I would suspect that we have some templates that could help you get started. Right, so there may be some things that you might want to say. Well, I'm not just going to start with a blank slate. I need something to start with, and we could help with some templates and then allow you to either show you what to do, because I would assume that it's pretty easy to sit down. You don't have to be a developer to really get through and design some of this workflow. Is that the case?
You bet. That is one of the
Okay.
beauties of Jira, actually, is that it doesn't require a developer level skill. It's really a business analyst kind of skill once they're trained on the system to be able to manage it and keep up with workflows and manage user roles and that sort of thing.
Right. So you could have somebody in your company that's not a developer that knows exactly what the requirements are and can tailor this to their specific requirement set. I had some other questions, because you went.
Dick,
go ahead.
Before you leave that, let me just make the point also. The other advantage there is if you are already using Jira Service Desk or Jira software, or even other teams are using Jira Core, you've got that sort of view across all of your groups. So maybe if your HR team was in an HR tool and your marketing team was in a marketing tool, you don't really have that visibility. If everybody's working in different projects in Jira, you have visibility in Jira of what everybody's doing, so you can do, sort of corporate-wide capacity looks that way.
Right. And the other thing that I liked, and I don't know if you didn't necessarily point this out, but you can communicate, and I don't know, is HipChat included, or how do you, like you had some slides up there that you showed some chats that were going on. Is that through email? Is it through HipChat, or how does that work?
So the system out of the box, the Jira system out of the box, would let you communicate with each other through comments on issues. And when issues are commented on, you could see those comments inside the issue, and you can also choose to have the folks related to that issue notified when comments are made by email, so that you can keep up with it that way. And you're able to make a comment and add data to the system by coming in directly into the issue and doing that. Or you could simply reply to an email from the issue, and that would be posted as a comment for everyone to see on the issue.
Okay.
The HipChat application is another Atlassian solution. Atlassian's solution is actually a modularized solution that really covers everything from software development through DevOps and IT service management into this business project process task management arena we're talking about today. But it's all modularized, and you pick and choose the pieces you need. HipChat is the piece that allows IM chat and video chat and is integrated with all the other solutions out of box. So it would allow you to maybe create a chat room related to an issue so that everybody could participate in that, and all that history of any decisions that were made there is stored permanently with that issue in Jira.
Okay, but you'd have to buy HipChat then.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, your question was,
right.
Yes, it is.
Yep.
That would be an additional solution to license.
The other thing that hit me when you went through these case studies is how important knowledge management could be. In other words, if you're in the finance group and you have somebody that, how do I fill out this dang expense report? It just seems too confusing. Or, what are some of the spending limits that I have, or per diem limits, or how do I do this? Well, you can certainly pick up the phone and call somebody, but nowadays it's usually it's all about knowledge management or having a portal available. Is that something that's included, or would that be part of a Confluence system?
The Jira Service Desk solution allows knowledge searching in the customer portal, but I think for this case, we would be talking about direct searching in Confluence in a space that you would define for that, where you might keep your operational documentation or your policies or that kind of thing. And Confluence, the Atlassian solution that's sort of a wiki-styled collaboration documentation tool, can even be used as your corporate internet.
Right.
So it's also a really flexible tool.
Yeah, but I could see, like, on the HR side, you might put questions out there. What interview questions should I ask, or can I I guess I can't ask about salary anymore. I think the law's changing. Does that apply to me, or does that apply? I guess it depends on what state you're living in. So there are some confusing things that are out there, and having access to knowledge is an important thing. So that would be extra as well, right? It wouldn't necessarily you have to get, but I think a lot of organizations that have Jira probably have Confluence already, right? Okay.
You bet. I believe so as well.
Okay.
And anybody who hasn't looked into any of the Atlassian solutions might be very happily surprised at the price tag associated with them. You'll find is probably 10% of what you're expecting. So, and all those prices are published right on their website if you'd like to go look at any point.
Okay. All right. And could you had one slide up there. You had Jira, you had Jira Core, and Jira Software, and Jira Service Desk. Okay. And could you explain, because not everybody may have all these pieces, right? And when would you need one over the other?
So like I mentioned, back in the early 2000s, Jira came up through the software development side of the house and was created to be a workflow engine to manage software development teams. But what Atlassian found out is that people were using that workflow engine for a ton of stuff. So back in the fall of 2015, they extracted that workflow engine part of Jira software, and it's now called Jira Core. So that's the ability to create an issue and create subtasks on the issue, and to track an issue through its workflow, and to make an assignment on the issue, and to relate issues together in different kinds of relationships. So that main engine is called Jira Core, which is the use we've been talking about today, maybe for business units. On top of Jira Core, Atlassian added everything that you needed to run a software development team, like Agile boards and Kanban boards and burn down reports and sprints and those kinds of things. So Jira Software is Jira Core plus all of the things you need to do to manage a software development team. On the other hand, Jira Service Desk is Jira Core plus all the things you need to run a service desk, like a customer portal and agent queues and SLAs and things like that. So that's sort of the three flavors of Jira. They all include that workflow engine that allows you to do the things we talked about today. It's just the other two applications, Jira Software and Jira Service Desk, have some industry-specific kinds of things attached to them to help specific kinds of teams.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks, Alan. There was one question that was submitted about the books that I mentioned, and I tried to do it, respond to all, but I'm not sure that it made it out there. So I'll read it, and then we'll figure out a way. Maybe it's been posted out there. But anyway, the latest book that I think is just excellent, one of the best I've seen in this entire space, is A Seat at the Table. It just came out a couple of weeks ago. It's by Mark Schwartz, former CIO at USCIO. USCIS. And another was the Phoenix Project by Gene Kim and others, and also the DevOps Handbook, which came out about a year ago. Gene Kim was sort of the lead editor on that book as well. So they're all good reference material if you're new to Agile, if you're new to DevOps, and if you want to figure out what's the difference between Agile and DevOps or Kanban or Scrum, these are good resources, and you can certainly find the answers in these books. So